We are rumbling here in Northeast Ohio. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Channel 3 Chief Meteorologist Betsy Kling, and we're coming to you this afternoon because it is very noisy across the area. We do have a few severe thunderstorm warnings to talk about. Live look for you over downtown Cleveland on the CSU cam. We are aimed westward, and you can see just how soggy it is. We have had some very heavy rain and some heavy thunderstorms that have been moving through the area. Interestingly enough, it is only 40 degrees in downtown Cleveland. We still have a little bit of a wind off of the lake. It is very gusty, and as we head through the rest of the afternoon, those winds will be changing direction because we have a warm front that is coming through. That warm front is really the focus of the afternoon thunderstorm threat that we are in right now. We do have numerous warnings across Ohio and then a lot of bumpy weather that is just getting started in the Mid-South. You can see tornado watches throughout Missouri down into Arkansas, and then this flood watch that encompasses most of the state of Ohio. We also have a couple of these orange boxes. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings that have just recently been issued for Huron, Richland, Ashland, Medina, and Wayne counties, also clipping into the extreme southern portions of Lorain County. Those, again, severe thunderstorm warnings that are on top of this flash flood watch that starts today and goes all the way to Sunday. So there's kind of a twofold story that we have to talk about. This is the latest on the radar out of National Weather Service office in Cleveland, and you can see all of these white dots. That is live lightning for you. And in the last 15 minutes, in this view alone, there have been 768 lightning strikes. Now 772. It's a live counter, so it updates frequently. And you can see just how much lightning there is. Lightning is an indicator of hail, and the threat for us right now in northern Ohio is very heavy rain and hail, and that is exactly what we have unfolding right now. So heavy rain just to the east of Cleveland that is going throughout areas out around Bracknell, headed toward Euclid, straight down through Cleveland Heights. This is going to continue to move out toward the 271 corridor, toward Beechwood, Pepper Pike, and then on up into the Mayfield Village area, eventually then crossing over into East Lake, Willoughby Hills, Willoughby, Wickliffe, and then Willowick, as well as then eventually the Menor area. So this is all moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour or so. Meanwhile, farther west, we have some heavy downpours that continue to come down throughout Lorain County into Ashland, Medina, and Wayne counties, as well as Holmes County. And again, these are all very active with lightning and the hail potential that is showing up. If I show you a couple of the notable things that we've been keeping an eye on here, not only with those severe thunderstorm warnings that I was just talking about, but we also have incredibly heavy rain that is coming down. And where you see the oranges, this is where we have anywhere from 1.5 to 2 inch per hour rain rates. Friends, it is laying it down. Very heavy rain that is coming down at this point. And we have had numerous reports that are starting to show up too of hail, and especially down here in Richland County where we had those severe thunderstorm warnings earlier. These are some impressive hail reports where we're getting anywhere from 3/4 inch to 1 inch hail reports that are coming out of areas like Mansfield and then on farther to the southwest into Lexington. There have been numerous reports of 1, even 1.5 inch hail that was a little bit farther to the west. But for right now, we do have the severe thunderstorm warnings to talk about that are right here into Richland and Huron counties, and then farther east into Ashland, extreme southern and northwest. A severe thunderstorm warning means that you have winds at 60 miles per hour